What's written in the official Bible may not be exactly what he actually was talking about, because he actually was a representative of this shaman mystic tradition. So tell us about the Nag Hammadi texts and what Jesus really was talking about.
Yes, well, and to do that very quickly, I would go back to the Judaic First Temple tradition, in which they did have the shamanic mystic ritual, and they had what they called a wisdom literature. And here the feminine existed with the masculine. Together, they equally created the world. And so they danced the dance of life together. But by 621 BCE, there was a movement. No one knows who the Deuteronomists were, but they were a group of people who changed everything, and Josiah went along with it. And they destroyed the First Temple tradition, the shaman-mystic tradition, and they destroyed all images of the feminine. There were icons, statues of her destroyed, and the tree was her symbol, because that was a symbol of life and giving the fruit of cosmic consciousness. Just burned them all down. They also got rid of the wisdom literature. Well, many Jews were not happy with this. They took the literature to Egypt. And I think that some who later went to Babylon during the exile must have had it too. Yeah. And I think that tradition continued to live and later emerged in Kabbalah much later. I think those are the roots of it. But then, according to Margaret Barker, who's a wonderful Old Testament scholar, and she's talking about once we found the Dead Sea Scrolls of the Jews, they were Jews who did not go along with the Second Temple. They felt they carried the true covenant of Israel, which was, of course, the shaman mystic tradition. When we found that library, and then right after World War II, and then we found at the same time, about the same time, these texts that were buried in Egypt, which were older, but they also were Gnostic. So we could see the Dead Sea Scrolls were Gnostic carrying on of the First Temple tradition. And then here in Christianity were Christians who were trying to hold on to the true shamanic tradition of Jesus. And they buried those texts around 400 AD because they knew they were told they would be burned otherwise. Yeah. And so we found those texts. So we find it.
The ones that are called the Gnostics.
Yes, they are Gnostics and the Nag Hammadi. So there are many forms of Gnosticism and many ideas associated with it. But Gnosis really is the experiencing of that cosmic mind of which we are all a part. So what we find in the Jesus of the Nag Hammadi text reveals that he is the shaman mystic. And Margaret Barker said that once we got the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Nag Hammadi text, and we had all of the other texts that were not included in the canon decided on during Constantine's time by the church fathers, then she said we can see a much larger picture. And so she said that there were Jews who kept this tradition of the First Temple. They were the Essenes, they were Therapeutae, and they were the early allegorists with Philo-Judaeus. So here all over that area were Jews who separated from the Second Temple and tried to keep this living shaman mystic tradition going. And it looks as though those were the people who began the Jesus tradition, that was actually probably out of the Therapeutae. They were mystics, they were shamans. And even some of the church fathers thought that they might have written the Gospels. But at any rate, here is this Jesus. And we are told that there was a hidden tradition that Jesus taught. And of course, it's the tradition of going inward and experiencing the divinity of who we are and becoming the Christ. Even he makes it clear, I did not come to save you. I came to remind you of who you are. Yes, that is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's so strange anyway when we think about it. How could we ever have thought somebody else could save us?